Well, it's live and it is the UEFA SUPERCUP final between Paris Saint-Germain and Tottenham Hotspur. Well, these two teams winning their respective European trophies to get this far and now have an opportunity to pick up silverware just before the season begins. Well, the English Premier League season begins in 3 days, really. There's no really time to settle for either one of these teams, but it's Pedro Porro from distance, and Tottenham Hotspur have the first shot, just about 30 seconds on the clock. The wingback has found himself in a central area, and PSG just caught napping in the early stages here. Lucas Chevalier, the new goalkeeper from Lille. Big call made by PSG and Luis Enrique for getting rid of Donnarumma and getting their young keeper who's more adept at playing out of the back and using his feet. But, I mean, you just lose that shot-stopping ability of Donnarumma, and that is very difficult to replicate. But Luis Enrique clearly happy with making that trade-off. Here's Nuno Mendes. The last time we saw PSG in real competitive action was in the Club World Cup final against Chelsea, where they were roundly beaten 3-0 in the MetLife Stadium. I mean, that was a statement victory and a statement loss, really, for PSG, who at that time might have felt like they were on the top of the world. Again, it's calmly done here from Spurs, but they have to find a way out here because PSG, despite playing one midfielder light, they are really going ultra attacking here because there is no João Neves because he picked up the red card against Chelsea at the Club World Cup. So they're playing with Vitinha and Zaire Emery. No Fabian Ruiz in the midfield. Instead, they're going with the three of Desiree Doué, Bradley Barcola, and Kviza Kvaratskhelia behind Ousmane Dembele. So that is ultra attacking from Luis Enrique, not really giving, I would say, much respect, or it's just a bit of a tactical tweak here because Spurs are gone ultra defensive, and they've gone with a back three of Danso, Van de Ven, and the new skipper, Christian Romero, his first game as Tottenham Hotspur captain after Son departed, is in the Super Cup here. Mentioned Danso before, will take the throw in. Powerful athlete. It's a decent ball, not a bad leap there from Romero. And PSG clear. You can see Jed Spence being put under immediate pressure. And Jed Spence, we've seen him play as left back for Spurs under Ange Postecoglou, but now almost playing like a left wing back because Pedro Porro will be on the other side. Like I mentioned before, it is defensive because he has Palhinha and Pape Sarr in the midfield pivot as well. So plenty of defensive cover. So Spurs are happy to play the long game here. They've got Mohamed Kudus and Richarlison as their two attackers. Bentancur, of course, the third midfielder for Tottenham Hotspur. Here's Hakimi, Vitinha. Now, this is where I want to see where Kvaratskhelia operates because you don't really see the four together. Brilliant ball there by Dembele, and it's Hakimi who's made the run. Good, powerful play there from Jed Spence to just usher the fullback. And this is a big game here for Thomas Frank. I mean, it's his first real big test as Tottenham Hotspur manager, and it is a big one, really. It is against the reigning European champions. Whole world is watching just before the season begins, so the last thing you want is to get humiliated on the world stages. I mean, the finals that we saw, the the Club World Cup final was a one-sided affair. The Champions League final was a really one-sided affair, 5-0 on the night for PSG. Nuno Mendes conceding the first foul. I don't see he's doing too much wrong there. But Mendes versus Pedro Porro will be an interesting battle because the width will be provided by the two wingbacks rather, in Pedro Porro and Jed Spence as the Italian referee, making sure that he keeps a lid on things. We know it's going to be a different Tottenham to Ange Postecoglou, that's for sure, because Ange was a unique manager. Thomas Frank will try and use some of those philosophies, but defensively, I'm sure it's not going to be anything like what we saw under Postecoglou. Ball into the box. Spurs might look to play direct here every chance that they get. Try to use their physicality and size advantage. PSG have a lot of diminutive players, although highly technical, but in the air, Spurs can try and cause them a bit of problems with the likes of Danso, Christian Romero and Mickey van der Ven with Richarlison. Even start so far, 5 minutes gone. I don't think Spurs would mind the start here because they have kept PSG very much under the lid. You haven't seen much of the attacking players so far. Dembele has had just a bit of a moment so far, but other than that, Tottenham have started decent here. They've got plenty of options off the bench with Matthias Tell, Odegaard is there, so Lucas Bergwall. Thomas Frank has got quite a few nifty options off the bench. PSG, on the other hand, they've got Fabian Ruiz in midfield that they can use, and of course, Gonzalo Ramos up top. So, a bit of change for sure. What is absolutely non-negotiable is for both teams is to make sure that this ends in 90 minutes, not go to extra time just before the season opens up. I really like the midfield of Norgard, Damsgaard, and who else was the third midfielder that Thomas Frank had? Can't remember, but that balance that they had was really good, and he's going to try and replicate that with the Spurs midfield. You can see with the likes of Sarr, Palhinha, and Bentancur, so it's a nice mix there. Is there enough to try? This is where you need Rodrigo Bentancur, who's probably better as a 6 to be able to make those runs further deep, because there's not much creativity in the central areas. Kudus can carry the ball, but again, is there anybody to, find those passes? Spurs missed that number 10, and that's why they had made that bid for Morgan Gibbs-White, play in that central areas. That was rejected. That was a whole saga, really, after Spurs activated their release clause. But so far, Spurs are looking very solid here, making sure that it is PSG who look to do all the attacking in the early stages. Here's Pacho, who missed out the Club World Cup final courtesy of a suspension. It was Beraldo who played instead of him. Here's Vitinha, quick scan around. Spurs dropping very deep here into their block. Here's Bradley Barcola on the left-hand side. Beats the fullback with ease, but he's been doubled up here. Goes on the outside though. Clever one-touch play here. Oh, it's brilliant football. Kvaratskhelia just wide. Well, PSG just turn it on just like that. It's brilliant from the Georgian. There's just enough to manufacture a bit of room for the shot. It's on the spin. It's swift. But this is when PSG just come alive in the box. Spurs are dropping deep. They'll have plenty of bodies in the box, but this is where PSG look to move the ball a lot swifter. Very good football there. Well, the two keepers, young Italian Vicario for, I would say young because he's been a Premier League experienced goalkeeper now. He's been in his third season, if I'm not mistaken. Ange Postecoglou was one of his signings, which was very impressive when he began. What a touch that is from Barcola. Magnificent play there. And just breezes past Danso. Good pace shown there from the centre half. Look at Barcola go. He's committed 3 players there. He's so electric, man. Bradley Barcola, if he can just polish up his final action, his shooting, he can really be a world beater. And I don't say that lightly because of his ability, his natural, his pure ability. Look at this, the way that he just dribbles. He's got João Palhinha, Damso, all in knots. Palhinha has hit the deck here. Of course, Palhinha, loan signing from Bayern Munich. I mean, that was a very strange signing when he went from Fulham to Bayern Munich. 60 million as well. There was big money being committed. Never really thought that he would, slot in there. They haven't really wasted their time. They've seen the likes of Stanisic for Vincent Kompany working. So João Palhinha goes out on loan. Could be a very important player for Spurs because they have a pure number 6, because just like a destroyer, maybe a bit of ball carrying, but a pure destroyer to help them out, especially in big games. Here's Richarlison. Good strength shown there, but a heavy touch goes outside. Haven't really threatened PSG in the defensive third, but you don't really expect Tottenham to, unless they're on the break, because they haven't really committed bodies foul. You can see Pape Sarr is pressing as a number 10 here now. He is a number 6, at best number 8, and you see him as a number 10 pressing. So just shows you that hard work preferred over that ability to open the door. Chevalier put under a bit of pressure here. This is my first look at PSG's goalkeeper, Lucas Chevalier. Now, like I said, it was a very ruthless decision to get rid of Donnarumma. Not many would have done that considering the season that they've had. Donnarumma, well, his shot-stopping ability is world class, but he does have deficiencies when he plays out the back. So Luis Enrique wants total football all over the pitch. Maybe saw that as a contractual opportunity. Good work there from Sarr. Comes across. They'll have to do a lot of that to stop the passing lanes. And that's Mohamed Kudus showing great strength and brushes off Nuno Mendes. This is going to be a power-packed battle here between the two athletes here, Kudus and Nuno Mendes. Here's Kudus. Left-footed ball towards the far sticks. Richarlison somehow brings that under control. Magnificent play there. Richarlison with the ball into the box. Oh, the quality on the cross is so poor. What a waste. Richarlison doing the acrobatics to keep the ball in play. Chet Spence was hoping that he'll let the ball arrive to him, and it's been a good start here for Thomas Frank and Tottenham Hotspur. They are putting pressure on PSG, and PSG now forced to play out the back. It's a good pass and a very good leave. You can see that Danso is playing as the right-sided centre half. He will try to go and follow Bradley Barcola as much as possible because they have the cover, and PSG's forwards are so direct. It's going to be extremely difficult to try and follow them. Talk about their forwards. The fullbacks are problems too because of their running capabilities. So that's how well Chelsea played. I mean, I don't want to bring it back to Chelsea, but to keep a clean sheet against this PSG side is not an easy task. Here's Dembele, who's got pretty much the freedom of the pitch to pick up the ball wherever he wants to, go with the flow. Here's Zaire Emery. Big opportunity for him. Bit of a bench role under Luis Enrique. He's a good talent, but that midfield is stacked for PSG with João Neves, Vitinha and Fabian Ruiz. But Emery, whenever he has the opportunity, can definitely make his mark here. Here's Barcola. PSG playing the game at walking pace here. Here's Dembele now. He's picking up the ball in the number 10 position. Now good switch with his right foot. Here's Kvaratskhelia, who prefers playing on the left but is on the right hand side. Maybe tempted to put the ball in on his favoured right foot swiftly here. Vitinha's ball. Oh, that's a curious clearance. Might reach Kudus. And it's another battle between him and Nuno Mendes, but the Portuguese fullback wins that one. Now, I told you about that battle. That is something that I'll be keeping my eye on. Kudus versus Nuno Mendes. It's going to be electric. Kudus is the only outlet, really, that running outlet in the attacking phase. No Brennan Johnson. Like I said, Brennan Johnson, Odeberg, Matthias Tell, all on the bench. Good options to have. But you'd like to see a bit of bravery maybe here. Here's Kvaratskhelia. Very well won there by Bentancur. Now he can run with the ball. Finds Richarlison. Richarlison's up against Pacho. PSG flooding men back. Good tackle there from the Colombian. Just stands on his feet. Keeps his eye on the ball. He knows Richarlison can go either way here. He's comfortable. Just keeps his eye on the ball. Wins it back cleanly, and Bentancur is offside. Into the 15th minute. Again, like I mentioned before, Spurs are more than holding their own here. For those who expected maybe Spurs to continue their horrid league form last season. I mean, a lot of people have their divisions against what happened with Ange Postecoglou, but man, how can you forgive that league performance? That's a brilliant pass. They will get back to that later. Here's Barcola. Oh, Danso, and the combination of Danso and Sarr really stops him. Can PSG, when they play one touch, are really exciting to watch. We talked about Postecoglou. That's why I said his league form really was unforgivable. You cannot have it acceptable in your club to be 17th. Oh, they didn't even clear 40 points. I mean, it is shameful. So heads had to roll. Maybe getting rid of players is not going to be Daniel Levy's style. Ange Postecoglou might have done his reputation a lot of harm, but winning the Europa League, that would have really softened the blow. Not just softened the blow, but when he comes back after a break, I think he'll be a much better coach. I was a big fan of Postecoglou. Maybe not the way that he organizes his defense, but the way that he plays football and he gets his team going is special. The way he speaks as well, he's a proper man, and I wish him well. But now Spurs have gone a different direction to another manager who's shown tremendous potential. I mean, what he's done with Brentford, Thomas Frank, is again outstanding. To keep them as a Premier League fixture now, they are a team that we expect to see every season because of them, and it was a nightmare, that away ground. Oh, every time Chelsea went there, it felt like this is the day you drop points. That's the kind of fortress he made with the kind of team he built. Remember the pace out wide. They've got that Johan Wissa and Mbuemo, but they had Ivan Toney and then different strikers like Shadow. I mean, it keeps on changing, but such an exciting team he built up as an underdog. But now with Spurs and big money being spent, expectations will be different from Thomas Frank. 65% of the ball for PSG. Doesn't really mean much here, especially in a knockout game such as this, where it's clever from Jet Spence. Again, Jet Spence, he'll be waiting for a run of games on the right-hand side. I'm sure about that. He's always shoehorned as the left-hand-sided defender. He won't mind that. Oh, that's surely a foul. I think that's Desiree Doué on Pape Sarr. Yep. Desiree Doué with a lazy leg out. Sticks it out to try and make the challenge. The Senegalese takes the bait, takes the foul, and it's a free kick. Interesting territory here. No real standout player to take the free kick for Tottenham Hotspur. No James Maddison after his ACL injury. Let's see who fancies himself here. Kudus on his left foot, of course, is an option. He's the, as you said, true baller in their team. Richarlison maybe with the right foot. Don't know about that, but I think Kudus will fancy himself here. The big money signing from West Ham. Again, they won't go for goal from that angle, but it's all about whipping this into the dangerous area. Chevalier will be careful, but it's Pedro Porro who takes it. It's a disappointing ball, and you can see that Romero is always backpedaling. Good defending, though. Again, Espacho has had a solid game so far. Flawless from the Colombian centre-half. He's someone that Luis Enrique and PSG missed in the Club World Cup final. I mean, he isn't a name that sticks out as one of the key players like maybe Marquinhos or Hakimi or Nuno Mendes, but he's a top player. Every time I see him, his decision-making really is top. Stadium in Udinese is packed, and it just feels like there are more PSG fans than the Spurs one. That's a beautiful first touch there from Nuno Mendes. It's just excellent. I mean, it's gone over his shoulders. He's on the run, takes it first time. Sometimes you just forget how special professional footballers are. Here's Hakimi. Zaire Emery. In PSG, for all the attacking players that they've thrown in here, having trouble Vicario so far. And that is a huge tick for Thomas Frank. Here's Dembele. He's just past the halfway line here. That's how deep he's dropping. But PSG look to quicken the tempo here. Good switch out. Excellent covering there from Pedro Porro. Ooh, risky touch because Kudus is on him like a flash there up against Vitinha. Again, Kudus having to do the ball carrying and ball securing by himself. That's excellent from the Ghanaian. Wow. Ooh, there's a chance there for the switch. Romero has to pick his head up. Jed Spence is in acres of space. Somebody has to pick him out, surely. Bentancur, they're playing a bit negative here, but Spurs progressing the ball. Here's Van de Ven. Surely release it. Now Jed Spence gets the ball. It's far too late, but Jed Spence makes something out of it. He keeps the ball. Here's Van de Ven, who's carried on all the way from defense. Again, it's Spurs attacking. Sarr with the ball in. It's a disappointing end. Again, the deliveries into the box have been subpar from the Spurs players. But again, a positive move when they move forward. Looking very fluid here, Spurs. And Thomas Frank, 20 minutes on the clock, will be feeling job well done. Mohamed Kudus, can already see the importance that he's going to play in the Thomas Frank system. Oh, that is a crazy pass there from Hakimi. Finds Bentancur, who does well to press and win the ball back. Spurs looking to secure the ball here. Right idea. Look at Bentancur, very clever. Pressed all the way back. Vicario takes no chances. Boots that forward. Again, PSG's press relentless. That's exactly what you see from them. They are youthful and they really do follow their coach's instructions. If you've ever seen the clip on Twitter, it's about Luis Enrique talking to Kylian Mbappe about Michael Jordan and the art of defending. You can see from Mbappe that he's listening from one ear and throwing out of the other because he doesn't do any of the off-the-ball stuff that we do. But Dembele has clearly picked up on that speech, and you can see how he's played this season. He's transformed, not just as a player, but he's transformed the club, PSG. I mean, couldn't get the Champions League trophy for how many years? Dembele comes in as the franchise player. What a pass that is from Dembele. Look at that, inch perfect on his right foot as well. Here's Barcola. Desiree Doué playing as a number 10 here. Look how it is. Kudus is helping out defensively. Very good from him. And he gives an unnecessary bump, and it'll be a telling off from the referee. He's just telling him to calm down. That's a wise move there from the ref. Definitely not yellow card worthy there. Vitinha taking a bump from Mohamed Kudus, who's playing on a lot of adrenaline here. He's been Tottenham's only really attacking thrust. Here's Dembele again playing deep, but happy to play as that facilitator early on. He's almost playing like the, again in NBA terms, the point guard. He's just trying to, he's given that away. It's a very strange touch here. Again, it's Kudus who has to carry, and he happily obliges. It's a clever through pass. Here's Richarlison. Good save. Well, it was straight at the goalkeeper, but once again, it's Tottenham Hotspur who are playing on the front foot. No surprises that it is Mohamed Kudus. Again, it comes from Dembele, who just tries to dictate. Once he's lost the ball, look at Kudus. He starts and then he goes, and then he finds the first time pass. It's a very good save. You expect the goalkeeper to make that one. Lucas Chevalier tested for the first time, and well, about 23 minutes on the clock. You wouldn't have expected Spurs to have the more meaningful opportunities, but here we are. Spurs are putting PSG, the European champions, under pressure. Kudus takes the corner, feeds that Kudus has done everything so far. Bentancur's header. Well, he was unmarked. You don't really expect him to have that aerial threat, but completely unmarked there, and it's his own player. I think it's Paulinho who's gotten in the way, but doesn't really impede him, but the header off target. But it's Tottenham Hotspur who are getting attempts away. PSG, for all the good, decent play that they've had, haven't really threatened Vicario so far. Spurs now putting PSG under the pressure, forcing them to go along. Very good work here from Spurs. You've got to respect it. I mean, this is a completely different side, playing with a lot of confidence. PSG's, but what happens is if you lose 3-0 to Chelsea and then lose to Tottenham, it does not look good for PSG, considering how the season ended for them and how they were talked up as one of, if not one of the best teams in Europe that you've seen. Luis Enrique trying to back it up with this season. Haven't seen too much in terms of movement in the transfer window. Their team is pretty much set. I mean, they have excellent players littered across the front 11. I think the front 11 and the 3 or 4 options off the bench are very good for PSG. Can they do a bit more? I mean, they do have Ilya Zabarny to come in as the centre half from Bournemouth. I think he's completed his medical. He might be ready to start when the league season begins. But other than that, I mean, he's someone that he won't be an immediate starter, but it will be very difficult to find someone who starts immediately in this PSG team, considering the balance and the quality that Luis Enrique has assembled. Lucas Chevalier has had to make the save, and the big save so far. Thomas Frank would be mightily pleased with the way the first 25 minutes has played out here. The cooling break has been taken, and I don't think this will be a regular thing in UEFA competitions, but just before the season, it's a wise move. I mean, for those watching live on the stream, how are you feeling about your team's preparedness, their readiness to tackle the new season? A lot has happened in the transfer window. So it is going to be very, very interesting to see how it pans out. Chevalier. And haven't seen him too much in terms of those passing opportunities that he's done so far. He's kept it short. He's wrapped that to Pacho. He's put him under pressure. Kudus is the one pressing. Brilliant from Spurs again. It's Pape Sarr who lays it off to Danso, of all people, the centre half, making his way and bulldozing his way forward. Wins the throw in a high territory here for Spurs. This will work for them. This will absolutely work for Spurs. They've got PSG pinned back again. I mean, considering the attacking lineup of PSG and Tottenham's quote-unquote defensive 11, the game has panned out pretty much the opposite way. Here's Danso to take the throw-in. Into the box again. Good work there from Hakimi. Bentancur lays it off to Danso. Trying to just culture the ball in the centre half. You appreciate that instead of just trying to fizz that in. Nicely done there, but Spurs will go all the way back to Vicario. PSG have pushed out here, but if you look at the attempts so far, PSG have had just the one so far. None on target. Was the Kvaratskhelia effort. Here's Pacho. Ooh, PSG looking very, very dicey at the back. Somehow playing out. Here's Barcola having to do so much there. Luis Enrique appreciates it, but Tottenham Hotspur's press here is very impressive. Yet to see Lucas, the goalkeeper's passing out the back. Does look a bit nervy. Expect him to be so. His first real big game for PSG. Here's Nuno Mendes, finds Zaire Emery. I don't think Luis Enrique will wait too long before we might see Fabian Ruiz introduced into the midfield here. Don't think PSG have played with that fluency. You know that João Neves is going to be a huge miss, but is that when you want to take off Fabian Ruiz? Interesting. What a pass. Two brilliant passes. And just like that, PSG are in here. Here's Barcola on the left-hand side. Bradley Barcola takes another touch. What a good bit of play that is from Pape Sarr. Comes across, makes the interception. Well, in all of two passes, PSG cut through Tottenham Hotspur. The first pass to Dembele is excellent. Dembele plays the brilliant pass here to Bradley Barcola. And now Barcola. We talked about the end product earlier on in the stream here. He's picked his head up. He's seen the run being made by Zaire Emery, but it's good work from Sarr. Comes across. And for all of the good work that Tottenham have done in the early stages, PSG just reminding them as to why they are feared as one of the most potent attacks in Europe. Here's Vitinha. Corner for PSG. Against the two centre halves, that's with the size. Oh, it's a terrible corner. Hakimi will do very well to get there. He's been muscled out the way. Here's Jed Spence. Oh, it's a bit casual. Vicario with his left foot gets good distance, and it turns out to be an outstanding pass to Richarlison, who brings it down expertly, and Spurs are in here committing bodies forward. Here's Pedro Porro. The switch is on. Has to make the switch. My goodness. Pedro Porro kills a perfectly good counter-attack. You have to try that at least. Such a disappointment. After doing so well, pinching the ball high up the pitch, you have the PSG defenders full gunning, running back to play that pass. to not play the pass, the switch or the one forward. Just shows you the lack of ambition there from Pedro Porro. He tried to do the wiser thing of trying to secure possession, but that's what you want to see. A bit more of that attacking impetus, a bit more of that adventurous nature. The 30 minutes on the clock here, and Spurs have been absolutely fine. We thought that PSG might come out of the traps early and try and blitz Spurs away. Instead, Spurs have held their own. It's been PSG who have been forced on the back foot, but they're very much capable of playing some excellent football to unlock the defense. But the attacking players are picking the ball up deep here, as is Desiree Doué. He's hardly gotten in that number 10 position because Spurs are playing with that back three and João Palhinha right in front. So Desiree Doué having to drop far too deep to pick up the ball, and you can see Dembele is already there, so they're trying to crowd out that midfield, but no one's really making the run in the central areas. You're seeing Zaire Emery busting his gut, but another clever pass here from Dembele to Hakimi. Here's Zaire Emery. Oh, what a poor pass. Here's Sarr, who's pinched it. Oh, another terrible pass. The two young midfielders with regulation passes being misplaced. Here's Desiree Doué now. Scored a brace in the Champions League final. Very few people have done that in the history. Oh, it's again so sloppy in the middle of the park. Can Tottenham secure the ball? Here's Pape Sarr. Releases it on time. Can Pedro Porro be adventurous with his pass this time? The switch is good and finds the right man in Kudus, who picks his head up, and Jed Spence on the stretch does well. Spence, oh, it's Vitinha. Excellent work from the young Portuguese midfielder. Comes across and plays a crucial role in the interception. Here's Bentancur. Damso. Pedro Porro now. He's thinking about taking on Nuno Mendes. Instead, he just takes a yard. It's Kudus. What a good block that is from Marquinhos. Well, it fell kindly to Mohamed Kudus on his right foot. No hesitation on the part of the Ghanaian. Just takes that first time. Struck it well. Heroic block there from Marquinhos, the skipper. Here's Desiree Doué. You can see Desiree Doué and Ousmane Dembele, the number 10 and the number 9 in the system, are in their own half. Perfect from Spurs to keep them as far away from their goal as possible here. Here's Zaire Emery. Finds Kvaratskhelia on the right-hand side, up against Jed Spence. Kvaratskhelia again, just struggling on that right-hand side. As I mentioned before, he is that left winger. He's solidified it, but that tweak in system because of João Neves' inavailability and Fabian Ruiz being on the bench, just changing things around here, maybe a bit too much. Here's Desiree Doué trying to combine Vicario with safe hands. Again, not a shot on target. Desiree Doué for the first time getting around the Spurs defense. Look at this. Mohamed Kudus is having to do the ball carrying again. Incredible shift here. He is all over the central park here. Magnificent performance. This is called taking ownership. This is called taking onus, responsibility. Give me the ball. I will deal with it. Outstanding to see. Anywhere on the pitch too. Look at Dembele pressing like a madman. It's outstanding. Vicario's passing has been spot on so far with those clip passes. Pedro Porro trying to get the better of Nuno Mendes. Easier said than done, forcing Spurs back. Here's Kevin Danso. Pedro Porro. Aimless ball. Easily into the grasps of Marquinhos. Here's Achraf Hakimi. About 11 minutes plus added on time here in the first half. PSG yet to really conjure a meaningful shot on Vicario's goal in this first half so far in the UEFA SUPERCUP. Curious venue, but nice to see the Udinese ground filled to the brim. More with Paris Saint-Germain supporters than Spurs', but full stadium, always great to see here. Here's Nuno Mendes. Here's Dembele, shaped to shoot, and he's lost the ball again. And last time he lost the ball, Spurs got a chance out of it. Oh, it's so careless there. Oh, it isn't. It's turned out to be a great challenge. Referee doesn't take the bait. Instead, he waves play on, and Jed Spence defends very well. Tracking the run down the right-hand side. He saw Richarlison just caught on the cul-de-sac on the left-hand side. took a theatrical dive to try and get the better or try and fool the referee. Referee had none of that. Here's Kvaratskhelia. Again on the outside. Can look to put the ball in. Oh, Dembele on his left foot. It fell to him kindly. Just, I would say, a bit of an awkward height. But it's such a poor finish. He's leaning back. It's a snapshot. But again, PSG out of pretty much nothing have fashioned a couple of decent chances. But Kudus' effort was hit with a lot more ferocity. Fell to him on his right foot. Really did take the coat off the ball. Marquinhos on the slide. Excellent. Here's Kudus again. He's been swarmed by 3 PSG players. They've quickly identified that Vicario likes to play that ball quickly to Kudus. That's a good ball, but it's a run for Bentancur in the channel, who's just about to mention their running capabilities. That running power isn't one of his strong suits. Because they don't have that natural width, expect like one of the midfielders to maybe make that outside run like we saw with Bentancur. Here's Nuno Mendes. Spurs pressing with a front three. You look at Kevin Danso going. As mentioned before, Kevin Danso has gone all the way deep into PSG territory following Bradley Barcola. The message is clear from Thomas Frank. Here's Vitinha. Ken hasn't had the impact running the show in the PSG midfield in this first half. Here's Kvaratskhelia again. First time ball in. It's too much on it. Falls nicely to Zaire Emery. Oh, the control is bad though. But here's Ashraf Hakimi. Another good block. Here's Palhinha on the other hand, who makes the challenge. PSG looking to end this half on the strong suit here. Stronger note. Trying to be a lot more direct in their play. Ashraf Hakimi taking a shot in anger. Might see Kvaratskhelia trying to cross the ball a lot more towards the end of the first half here. He's trying to get the better of Jet Spence. He has fashioned this chance, but he is reluctant to put the ball in first time with his right foot. It just feels like a matter of time before he does that. Again, Spurs pinching the ball in the dangerous territory. This is good for them. Again, it's Kudus. They're asking so much from him. He is so strong and powerful. My goodness, Kudus is an absolute tank. Just the way that he wins the foul is just excellent to watch. He's got Nuno Mendes, one of the most powerful fullbacks in the world. He has bodied him with a shoulder barge. He's kept the ball brilliantly. And then his acceleration really to just push. Oh, brilliant. Applauded by Thomas Frank. And Thomas Frank would have just seen this 37 minutes or so performance of Mohamed Kudus and quickly identified that he is going to be his main man. He's going to get him out of trouble so many times. He's a problem solver on the pitch. If you have a ball carrier who's that strong, back to goal, having the ability to shrug off the challenge, progress your team up the pitch as a lone individual, 50, 60 yards, it's invaluable. Good header here by Christian Romero. Is off bat, his big chance. What a save. On the follow-up, it's Mickey van der Ven. And Spurs deserve this read. Incredible. PSG don't deal with it. Hits the crossbar. And it's one of the main mans from the back, Mickey van der Ven, who scores the goal, and Spurs have the lead before half-time. Luis Enrique cannot believe it, but his team have fallen asleep in that defensive setup here. Ball in from Vicario. Oh, is he offside? No, I don't think Romero is. Romero's header is into a danger area here. It's not cleared now. That's acrobatics and a brilliant save by the goalkeeper to somehow get something on it. João Palhinha. It is an unbelievable save by Chevalier, who just tips that onto the bar. And on the follow-up is Mickey van der Ven, who keeps his balance. And it's an assured finish from close range on his weaker right foot. And Thomas Frank and Tottenham Hotspur lead the European champions in the Super Cup. Wow, incredible. Absolutely incredible. Well, talked about what a big test this is for Thomas Frank. And he really is passing this with flying colours so far. Mentioned before, it looked defensive on the team sheet. It was more about hard work. Men behind the ball make it difficult for PSG. On the break, maybe try and disrupt them. But wow, just the way that they've not just went toe-to-toe. Their fashion chances, the best chance of the first half, really went to Spurs. It was that cracking drive by Bentancur. Nonetheless, this is, I would say, 5 minutes heading into the second half really. Spurs have deserved this. The system for PSG isn't working because you see all their top players, their attacking players, they're all in their own half. Kvaratskhelia is asking for the ball. He's trying to make the run from the halfway line and almost dart towards Vicario. And he's disappointed he doesn't get the ball. I don't get it. The midfield pivot is not really in a pivot. You can see Vitinha drops in between the centre halves and Zaire Emery is almost playing as the number 10, the auxiliary player who can go forward, because Desiree Doué is playing on the left, so is Bradley Barcola. This system with these players, I mean, interesting for a hindsight note, but it really is a curious case here. I'm surprised that I would be very surprised if Fabian Ruiz doesn't come on immediately in the second half. Here's Barcola trying to isolate Pedro Porro. He's got him and goes on the outside brilliantly. Outstanding from Barcola. Cutback opportunity, no chance. The combination of Paulinho and Danso doing just enough. Bradley Barcola in that 1v1 situation is so special, man. He can go both ways. But when he goes down the line, he is so dangerous because he can beat you despite that being his weaker side. But he creates so much separation. So dangerous. But again, that final ball just lacking. Desiree Doué. Oh, nobody really closing him down till the very end. It was Sarr. Desiree Doué is fully capable of curling this into the top corner. It was a late block, but they managed to get something on it. Well, Spurs will be desperate, absolutely desperate to take this lead into halftime. Lovely play here. Ooh, just about managing to do that. Very well done. Ousmane Dembele has had a very indifferent first half. He's dropped far too deep for my liking, I think, in that first half. You saw him faffing about as that center circle, almost playing as that quarterback, really, point guard, quarterback, whatever, which is not his role, really. Might want him to see Peel on the left-hand side, but again, if you look at that flank area, it's already clogged up with Desiree Doué and Bradley Barcola. Nuno Mendes has not made a forward run because of that. Again, does Luis Enrique blink first here? He would not have been happy with this first half, and he knows that Spurs can very easily get another second goal with a bit of pace, a bit of power, a bit of fortune. Richarlison holding the ball up very well against Pacho. Here's Kudus. Nuno Mendes coming across now. Goes around the outside. Magnificent. Oh, that is Kudus at his very best, but his right-footed cross not having enough on it. Jed Spence keeps it alive though. Spurs looking to finish this half. There's another goal here. They would be in absolute dreamland against PSG. Again, the ball. PSG have been forced back here, and full credit to Thomas Frank for the way that he set his team up here. They've followed the plan up to a T, and more importantly for Spurs, they have options on the bench. Matthias Tell, Odober, Lucas Bergwall, these are just on the top of my head. Brennan Johnson is also another possibility for Thomas Frank to bring off the bench, so he's got fresh legs that he can definitely and will want to bring on, because the Premier League season starts in the weekend. They don't want to play maybe 90 minutes. Are they ready to put the full performance? We'll wait and see. Another ball into the box. Kvaratskhelia heads that away. Bentancur keeps it alive. Danso. He's done an excellent game. Here's Jed Spence. Half-hearted shot here, but Danso's header's back into the goal. Richarlison wins the first header. Kudus' header hits the base of the post. PSG get away with it on the stroke of half-time. Well, it's direct from Tottenham Hotspur's point of view. PSG were on the ropes there. Well, the athletic jumps from Richarlison and Mohamed Kudus nearly yielding in one of the best goals that you'll see. Unorthodox, but wow, that would have been special. The base of the post saved PSG. Huge wake-up call there for Luis Enrique. How does he try and battle the physicality of Spurs? Because he doesn't have that in the bench. For all the quality that they have, Fabian Ruiz is lanky and he's got a bit of stature about him. Other than that, then you're trying to scratch your head. I don't know if Lucas Hernandez is possibly an option for PSG at the back, but oh, they are struggling. If you look at the first half, Tottenham Hotspur will absolutely take this. The referee has a look at the watch and 45 minutes in favor of Tottenham Hotspur. And the man from the back, Mickey van der Ven, scoring from close range on his right foot. After a real melee in the box, Spurs' jumping ability, their leaping abilities, paying dividends there. It was an excellent save by the goalkeeper, touched onto the crossbar, but Van der Ven from close range on his right foot made it 1-0. And you think that PSG would have been the team more likely to score the goal, but right towards the end, PSG could have very easily conceded. The header from Mohamed Kudus hitting the base of the post to keep the scoreline at 1-0. All to do for the European champions PSG in the second half. It's Paris Saint-Germain 0, Tottenham Hotspur 1. That was a fun game, not going to lie. I expected it maybe to be a bit of a one-sided affair, maybe with PSG trying to take their moments, and just the quality that you see, the likes of Kvaratskhelia, Desiree Doué, Ousmane Dembele, and Bradley Barcola all on the pitch. You expect them to do a lot more. Kvaratskhelia has struggled on the right-hand side. Now, what do PSG and Luis Enrique do here? I would love to go through his thinking, because he generally has one of these players in reserve. He generally keeps Bradley Barcola on the bench. He's someone that he can bring on in the second half, either on the right or on the left. Now he's got all his players here, so he's going to have to shift them across because it's not working there. You see Desiree Doué and Bradley Barcola both playing on that left-hand side, both favoring that because they are the cut-inside, shoot kind of wingers. Desiree Doué has played more on the right-hand side, but you haven't seen him. It's Kvaratskhelia and Ashraf Hakimi trying to provide the problems down the right-hand side. It hasn't yielded any kind of success. Kvaratskhelia tries to go on the outside of Jed Spence, but he hasn't really put the ball in because there's no real movement of a natural striker. Because Dembele is starting deep. It's only Zaire Emery really who's making the run into the box. So it's a bit negative from PSG despite all the attacking players that they have. And that's why I mentioned before. He has really messed with the balance here, Luis Enrique, because of the inavailability and the non-selection of Fabian Ruiz. So does he go and immediately bring on Fabian Ruiz in the midfield area, keep Zaire Emery, maybe sacrifice an attacker, as silly as that sounds, because they are chasing the game, but they need to grab hold of the game. They have to put Spurs under a lot more pressure, because despite Spurs having a back five and just the one attacking striker and, Mohamed Kudus as the only number 10 who's doing a lot of the work, PSG can almost afford to take off one of their centre-backs and be a bit more attacking. So I want to see whether or not he maybe switches to a back three. I'll wait and see, because that is going to be very curious, doesn't it? Does he take off maybe Nuno Mendes on the left-hand side, because he's got the left-hand side plentiful with the likes of Barcola and Doué. For Spurs, they're in perfect territory here. They've got players on the bench. They've got the 1-0 lead. PSG haven't caused them that too many problems. So from their point of view, it looks good here. It looks very good. Take off one of their centre backs and be a bit more attacking. So I want to see whether or not he maybe switches to a back three. It has been a really fun stream so far. I'm glad to see it and present this to you. I mean, again, I was expecting it to be an absolutely different result, a different performance from PSG. Fully expect them to bring it in the second half. Luis Enrique will not be happy. As I mentioned before, losing to Chelsea is bad, but losing to Spurs, again in a European setting, is worse from a PSG point of view. And they're 45 minutes away from two Premier League sides who are not even the best that Premier League have to offer, picking up two big wins against Spurs. I mean, you look at PSG, I mean, they would have been expected to win the Club World Cup, win the Super Cup, pick up 5 trophies after the 3 domestic ones. So the stage was set for them, but the English side says, nah, it's our time. Try and take one off you. How about Spurs being starved in Europe, picking up the Europa League, and are now 45 minutes away from having a Super Cup added to that list? It's funny how football works. Spurs have been starved and now can be full of European trophies. Really like the look of Mohamed Kudus in that first half for Spurs. He has been head and shoulders their best player in an attacking sense. He's been the only player really in the attacking sense. Richarlison has held the ball up nicely on a few occasions, that's for sure. He's held it up well. He's played like a selfless striker, that like he is. Might want to see a bit more, but it is Mohamed Kudus, because every time he has the ball, now you can see the PSG defenders suddenly having their antennas up. 3 players immediately converging around him to make it as difficult as possible for him to turn and then carry the ball. So it's an interesting tactic how PSG will try and deal with the mercurial forward that is Mohamed Kudus. I mean, Spurs were moving mad in the transfer window when they confirmed Kudus, and they had the Morgan Gibbs-White from Nottingham Forest deal. That release clause was triggered, and after that, Gibbs-White was forced to rescind and sign a new contract, all that madness. But it means that Spurs do want another number 10, and James Maddison's injury will definitely increase their need for that number 10. I've seen Lucas Bergwall as a very good number 8. Will he be able to step in as a number 10? We might see, because they have Odegaard and Brennan Johnson, that Mohamed Kudus will be the number 10. Not the traditional number 10 in terms of the way that he can unlock a defense with the passing, but my goodness me, he's got other traits that are nightmares for defenders. Saw him win that header. I mean, he had absolutely no right to get there, and the way he directed that right on the base of the post, I mean, it wouldn't be the craziest statement to say that if Spurs would have scored right at the end of the half, 2-0 up, heading into the halftime break, might have been game over. And you wouldn't normally say that with the PSG attack, but it's just the way that they've played in this first half, and I don't know how that changes in the second really, because something's got to give. He's got to do something different. If he goes out as the same team, same 11, and which is very much possible that it happens, because these are the big guys. The only real change that you might see is maybe Fabian Ruiz coming on for Zaire Emery as a like-for-like change. How much difference is Fabian Ruiz going to make to this team? It is a big one, no doubt about it, because he is one of their mainstays in midfield. The way the Super Cup has gone, I think PSG will have to try a few more tricks up their sleeve here. It hasn't gone according to plan, but for Thomas Frank, brilliant 45 minutes. Showing you the capabilities, the way that they have not got caught out once. I mean, you see under Ange, there are few harrowing images of them caught up so high up the pitch. To their credit, and to Ange's credit as well, you saw it in the Europa League final against Manchester United. They played pretty pragmatic, like a typical cup final game. I mean, they didn't overcommit. They were solid in defense. They kept the clean sheet. They pinched a goal. It was an ugly watch, really, the Europa League final, but they did the job, and now they are 45 minutes away from completing the job against PSG here. Last season, Real Madrid were the Super Cup champions. They beat Atalanta, if I'm not mistaken. Mbappe scored a goal in that. Yeah, I think Mbappe had scored. That was early on into his Real Madrid career, but since then, not much has gone on for Real Madrid. They had a curious summer. I don't know if they have really addressed some of their issues. New coach, I mean, Xabi Alonso is not going to have an easy task. He has come to the club with pedigree, but this is Real Madrid. I mean, 2 or 3 losses on the bounce, and suddenly all the pressure on the world on your shoulders, on his young shoulders, really. Hard to turn down an opportunity like Real Madrid, that's for sure. I mean, how do you say no to Real Madrid and all the players that they have and the luxury to coach them? See Vinicius Jr., Kylian Mbappe, Jude Bellingham, Arda Güler, Tchouameni, Valverde. I mean, I can go on. The list goes on. As I mentioned before, Real Madrid not making any big moves in the window. We saw Dean Huijsen from Bournemouth being the chosen one as the centre half for Real Madrid. He does change their defense, that's for sure. I mean, very, very impressive. The centre half from Spain. I mean, Spain have got their centre half sorted for the next 5 years. Pau Cubarsí and Dean Huijsen, 19 and 20 years old. Perfect combination. I mean, as a left and right sided centre half pairing. Well, Spurs, in terms of shutting it down further in the second half, see who they have. They've got Archie Gray, he really caught my eye last season. He played centre half a lot, and I feel bad for him because coming from the Championship, came from Leeds, the Championship, and as a centre midfielder, you're hoping to get minutes. Instead, they have an injury crisis. He's forced to play centre half, and the courage that he showed. I mean, I've seen only a few games of him. I mean, the full 90 minutes of him actually playing at centre half. He was an excellent player. I mean, okay, he's not tall and strong and powerful, but he is very intelligent. He's going to be a crucial player, and I think he's going to form that midfield pair. I mean, like I mentioned before, João Palhinha, Bentancur, and Pape Sarr. So Archie Gray can very easily find himself as one of the three if he locks in, because there is a player in there, that's for sure. What else do they have? They've got Lucas Bergwall, and then, Brennan Johnson, Dominic Solanke, Matej Estelle, and William Odobert. So that's 4 viable attacking options for Thomas Frank and Tottenham Hotspur. Lucas Bergwall in midfield, Davies and Archie Gray. Decent bench for Spurs. And this is where it gets a bit tricky for PSG in terms of bringing on attackers. I don't see Kang In Lee being introduced anytime soon. Fabian Ruiz is the main option, but in terms of attackers, he could maybe sacrifice one of Desiree Doué or Bradley Barcola and bring on Gonzalo Ramos as the more traditional centre forward. There are options. There are enough for both coaches to try and change things around for the start of the second half here. Spurs 45 minutes away from picking up 2 trophies in 2 months. It's a good period for them. 2 different managers too. So Ange Postecoglou doing his job, winning the Europa League. It's a combination of him saying adios or being fired. Either way, he picks up a healthy paycheck, picks up a European trophy, and does his reputation not much harm. That league season will be forgotten for his point of view because of the way it ended. And the PSG players quickly out here. They're the first ones out, and I see Zaire Emery coming out. Interesting that he hasn't been subbed. Bradley Barcola, Dembele, Kvaratskhelia. No changes. Interesting, but not entirely surprising, is it? Yeah, that's for sure. No panic for Luis Enrique. He would have seen what he has seen, but he knows just a few tweaks in terms of just shifting players around. They'll need a lot more discipline. Dembele will have to trust his teammates a lot more here now. Can't be, as the best player, you want to get on the ball and try and make things happen. He, in fairness, has picked out 2 or 3 excellent passes. That's for sure. But you want him to be in those attacking areas, just outside the box. Shift and shoot. Want him to lead that team. You can see him. He's focused. He's ready. Are we going to see a different PSG for the start of the second half here? Or are Tottenham Hotspur, after winning the Europa League against Manchester United in May, in the middle of August, really pick up yet another trophy? Funny how fortunes change in quick time here. Yep, Spurs making no changes there. From their point of view, Mickey van der Ven. Haven't really seen him too much in a defensive capacity. Hasn't been really called upon, to his credit. But as it stands, he is the goal scorer and he is the difference maker. See him, he's focused. With both teams going with the same lineup as they did at the start of the game, Vitinha will look to get on the ball a lot more and look to dominate. PSG will need to do a full 180 in terms of performance, really, and the way that they play on the pitch here. We're all ready for the start of the second half, and PSG get things up and running. Immediately, seen their tactic. They tried to do this against Chelsea, I remember, where they take that kick from the center circle and play it all the way back and try and push up as a team. Strange for a team who like to play with the ball, but such has been the importance and impressive nature Tottenham Hotspur now looking to make the moves. Here's Jed Spence on the left hand side, trying to go out and just create a bit of havoc here. Again, very calm here from Tottenham, not looking to do anything risky, just keep the ball nice and comfortable. On the right hand side, well defended there from William Pacho. Just comes across and make sure that he made the interception. Tottenham Hotspur 1-0 to the good in the Super Cup. Ooh, that's a risky pass there by Nuno Mendes. Here's Richarlison. Good save. Chevalier gets that away. Punches that out of harm's way, really. It's such a risky pass there by Nuno Mendes. He's looking to combine. Instead, he loses the ball. Well, Tottenham Hotspur continue to profit from the high press that they've been applying on PSG here. Van der Ven up against Kvaratskhelia, 2 players with blistering pace. Kvaratskhelia commits the foul. And we saw Spurs score from a similar situation in this first half. Vicario from the halfway line took the free kick and created all sorts of problems in the box. Pedro Porro will take this free kick, clips that towards the far stick. Unmarked here. The save is poor. And Spurs are 2-0 up. And it's the captain, Christian Romero. Oh, what a terrible mistake by the goalkeeper. We talked about the big move that Gianluigi Donnarumma was forced out of the club, where Luis Enrique cannot believe what he's seeing here. Both centre halves for Tottenham Hotspur have scored. Clip pass here from Pedro Porro. Christian Romero completely unmarked. Oh, that's a howler from Lucas Chevalier. He's got down low, but he's parried that into his own net. It's a terrible mistake. Spurs have the perfect start to the second half. 2-0 to the good. PSG are on the ropes here. Oh no, it looks worse every time you see it from the goalkeeper's point of view. Christian Romero with the captain's armband for the first time after Heung-min Son departed, scores in the Super Cup. PSG are 2-0 down. And you're going to have to say that Spurs deserve it. As much as it hurts to see what is happening to PSG here. Well, Spurs 2-0 up, facing very little problems defensively. Again, they're back into their deep block. This is the Thomas Frank special that Luis Enrique is seeing here. Kvaratskhelia, Hakimi. Well, the bragging rights the Spurs players will have, but Kvaratskhelia gets that away. Heavy touch. You can see Romero quickly off his feet and off his line and makes the sliding challenge. That is much better from PSG's point of view there. Just quickening the tempo. Quick one-touch passing, making sure that they play around the Spurs deep block. Here's Dembele. Again on his right foot. Whip ball in. Oh, well. It's an acrobatic effort there from Kvaratskhelia. Ends up catching the Spurs defender. Oh, it's getting a bit nasty here because Van der Ven had to take the contact because the ball was in the air. Kvaratskhelia had only eyes for the ball to try and hit that as a, a bicycle. Half scissor. And Van der Ven had eyes only for the ball. Heads that away. Takes a nasty knee to the ribcage, but it's a sore one. But he'll be back onto his feet again. And, well, for the lack of attackers that Spurs have fielded in the starting 11, the two centre halves come up big time. And 5 minutes into the second half, PSG, again, we talk about threatening Vicario. They haven't done it. They haven't done it. Big saves. They need Vicario full stretch. Find something into the top corner. Bit of magic. Team play necessary. PSG look lost here. They have the champions of Europe scratching their heads here. Here's Pape Sarr. Kudus. It's not had the impact, but look at him on the ball. Again, needing three players. Great press resistance shown there from Desiree Doué. Again, having to do everything in his own half, though. Richarlison helping out. And breezes past Kvaratskhelia. Excellent from the Brazilian. This is so smart from Richarlison. He wins the ball back. He knows that Kvaratskhelia is onto his back. He knows that the challenge is coming. Takes steps on the brakes. Wins the foul. Clever. Very clever. Kudus will take this free kick. Haven't seen too much of the ball carrying, but hasn't been needed here. But PSG get caught napping here. Left-footed ball in. It's Damso's header. Well, you've seen two centre-halves score already. Very close to see the third. PSG are not picking their man up here. What a ball. This is from Kudus. It's got pace. Well, Damso's going a few paces back, but he is such a powerful athlete. He gets good power on it. But but not the direction. What a pass that is from Barcola, playing that blind, but Mickey van der Ven helps out. Poor control there from Zaire Emery. Outstanding from Pape Sarr. There's a couple of fouls there. João Palhinha has made one on Vitinha. The two Portuguese clashing there. I think Richarlison has picked up a yellow too. Cooler heads looking to prevail here. 7 minutes into the second half here. It's going absolutely according to plan for Tottenham Hotspur and Thomas Frank. 2-0 to the good. We're seeing, I think, only Richarlison picks up the yellow card. Ironically, he wasn't involved in the challenge. It was the two Portuguese and Palhinha and Vitinha who were involved there. I think it was because Richarlison just kicked the ball away. Again, that rule, players know it and you still do it. It's so bad. What do you think is going to happen? Here's Hakimi. Kvaratskhelia again on the right-hand side. Good combination here. Here's Hakimi again. Ball into the box. Cristian Romero. Easily done. Look at Kudus again. Put under so much pressure. Marquinhos has had to follow Mohamed Kudus all the way up the pitch. Commits the foul. Kudus does exactly what you expected him to do. He either keeps the ball or he wins the foul. Thomas Frank, he really is a likable fellow. I mean, again, when he speaks about the game and the way the game's supposed to be played, I mean, again, very charismatic. The way he speaks, the way his team conducts themselves on the pitch. He's a special coach. I mean, like you mentioned before, fortunes change. And it changes very quick. Reputations as well. Thomas Frank has only got promotion really, and since then nothing really to shout about. Those 5 years in the Premier League is a huge achievement, but I mean, other than that, in terms of big silverware, what a backheel that is. Oh, Nuno Mendes has taken a chance, but it turns out to be a magnificent tackle. And now PSG on the counter-attack here. Here's Barcola on the left-hand side. Again, look at Bradley Barcola. What a player. It needs two big defenders to try and stop him. Still keeps the ball here. Here's Desiree Doué. Trying to go around the inside. Desiree Doué caught in the stream of white. Oh, that's a needless foul there by Desiree Doué. But look who's helping out defensively. It's Richarlison. Superb from the Brazilian forward. He played left wing, if I'm not mistaken, in the Europa League final. And he put a shift in against Manchester United. Didn't have to do much attacking wise. Tried to hold the ball up. But the shift he puts in, the work that he does defensively, cannot be understated. Again, Pedro Porro got there, and Nuno Mendes has come across. It is so risky. I mean, if it goes against you, you can't really have too many complaints because it's contact in the box. But Nuno Mendes felt that he had to get there, and he did. Fair play to him. Mickey van der Ven scoring the 39th minute. Cristian Romero scoring in the 48th. Again, good take here from Kvaratskhelia. Put under immense pressure from Jed Spence when he commits the foul. Again, Jed Spence has to be careful. Doesn't concede a yellow card really, or collect a yellow card for petulant behavior. He's done a fine job on Kvaratskhelia. Again, both players playing out of position, mind you, so pretty much cancels each other out. Here's Kvaratskhelia. Again, Spence keeps his feet together, wins the foul. Excellent. Jed Spence showing his value to Thomas Frank. Remember, he was bought under Antonio Conte when he was the manager of Spurs, and he never really got a fair shake. Saw Ben Davies being preferred. Almost felt that he would be forced out of the club. Even under Ange Postecoglou, we didn't see too much of Jed Spence, but towards the end, he started playing a lot more games when Destiny Udogie picked up that injury, so he got a lot more games as a traditional left back. Under Thomas Frank's system, he might be playing as a left wing back, by the looks of it. But it'll be interesting when Destiny Udogie gets fit again. Oh, William Patches committed the foul. Surely he's going to pick up a yellow card. That's for sure. Well, PSG caught overplaying, far too casual. Spurs have been first class. in winning the ball high up the pitch. It's Sarr again. Pacho is not scanning his surroundings. And once Sarr has nicked in front, Pacho has to make the challenge. Doesn't play the ball. Picks up a yellow card. PSG are in all sorts of trouble here. But the goalkeeper, Lucas Chevalier, has not covered himself in glory in this big debut night. As he mentioned before, if you replace a decent goalkeeper, the pressure is on. But when you have to fill the shoes of Gianluigi Donnarumma, it's not easy, and especially when your shot stopping is being questioned. And Gianluigi Donnarumma is one of the best in the business in that department. Here's Pedro Porro. Seen the defender score on 2 occasions already. Here's Pedro Porro. It's wide. Well, the confidence coursing through the veins of the Spanish wingback. Pedro Porro looking to just curl that into the corner. It just took a deflection of one of the PSG midfielders. PSG absolutely had no issues dispatching the English teams the end of last season. They beat Liverpool, Arsenal, Man City and Aston Villa. They faced the 2 London clubs in Chelsea and Tottenham Hotspur. And you're looking at an aggregate score of 5-0 against PSG. It's cruel. That's the way the football world works here. You're only as good as your last game. Again, good pass here. And well, 15 minutes into the second half, yet to see a sub, but no surprises that finally Fabian Ruiz being introduced. Ooh, Van de Ven with a heavy touch. Kvaratskhelia has to show a lot more maturity there. He's seen that Van de Ven has taken a heavy touch. If he was just switched on and tried to chase the ball, had a better chance. And Kvaratskelia's evening comes to an end. Poor game from the Georgian. Does not affect the game whatsoever, but it's the wise move here from Luis Enrique to try and gain control in the midfield. He gets Fabian Ruiz in here, which means Desiree Doué now. My players there, right winger, Barcola as the left, and Ousmane Dembele as the centre forward. Here's Richarlison. Again, the hold-up is immaculate. Very well done. Put under pressure, his frame and his agility to hold those long balls is a very valuable skill to have, really. Well, Spurs taking their time. They're 30 minutes plus stoppage time away from being... Well, when you have 2 European trophies, can say that you have a bit of European royalty to it. May not be the first choice trophies, but they're trophies nonetheless. Builds the winning culture in this team. Headed by Van de Ven. Oh, it's not cleared. Sarr, big save. Chevalier makes the save. Well, Nuno Mendes and Mohamed Kudus were both flying in the air. And Lucas Chevalier had to do the same here. Look at this from Kudus, looking for the bicycle and the acrobatics. Doesn't really catch Nuno Mendes anywhere near the face. Nuno Mendes takes the contact on the chest, goes down a heap. That was a very good save by Lucas Chevalier of Pape Sarr's effort. Again, it's the physicality in the box that is causing PSG a lot of problems. They're not able to deal with Spurs' physical play in the box. Ball into the box. I mean, Pape Sarr is a unit. Mohamed Kudus has shown his athleticism and his spring in his step. And then when they'll get their big centre halves in the opposition box, they are a problematic team. Again, he's bringing all of Brentford's positive play, which you mean that the relentlessness at which they attack in the width areas, but also how strong and powerful they are as a team. And that's the identity that Thomas Frank wants to bring to his team here. He's got the 3 centre halves. He's got Pape Sarr in there as well as a nice solid presence. João Palhinha, who is a batterer of players, just needs to start surrounding Mohamed Kudus with a few attacking talents around him, and Spurs can be a very good team next season. Again, when you finish 17th, and it was a terrible season for them, a new manager comes in, a few new players, just a different type of identity, and suddenly you feel like a different team and almost unrecognizable from last season. Here's Nuno Mendes on the underlap. Seeing that for the first time. It's nearly taken the full hour here. Brilliant ball. Hakimi stays onside. Surely, what a block. Stays there. Zaire Emery can't take advantage, but the offside flag now comes to the Spurs' rescue. Well, the clip pass is so delicate. I think he was offside here. Look at this from Vitinha. Oh, well, Hakimi is for sure. He's onside. Spurs get away with that one. Well, they had blocked their opportunities on a couple of times, so great defensive work just in case the decision would have gone, because Hakimi, to the naked eye, to the paused eye, not the first time view that the linesman had, you could see that he would have been played onside by Kevin Danso's leg. It was just stretched on the back of the heel, and then I think that would have kept Achraf Hakimi onside. But again, heroic block by Mickey van der Ven, who's making a strong case for the man of the match here. Richarlison again holds the ball up very well. This is so responsible from Richarlison. Just the kind of play you want from your centre forward. Forcing PSG to press. Danso being put under pressure. Here's Pedro Porro. Back to the centre half, Danso. Goes all the way back to Vicario. Again, Vicario yet to make a telling save with over an hour played. Kudus, brilliant. How many times are we going to say that? Just the way he brings the ball under pressure. Look at Pedro Porro goes. Spurs players playing at a different level now to PSG. They look tired. They look jaded. The European champions. That 3-0 loss to Chelsea really has damaged some of that invincibility that was appearing on the PSG armour. Spurs have gone toe-to-toe and looking the better team here. It's Pape Sarr. Look at this. Well, he is offside, but what a performance from the young Senegalese. Excellent. He's been playing as that makeshift number 10, trying to give support to Mohamed Kudus. He's done more than that. The pressing has been relentless, and he's brought quality. Good performance from Pape Sarr. Again, Zaire Emery has taken the chance, but comes out of the ball brilliantly. Outstanding football being played here from PSG. Players taking a more responsibility on the pitch here. On the left-hand side, here's Barcola. Again, Dembele is so deep. He needs to be in and around the box here. Here's Desiree Doué on the right-hand side. Here's Doué. What a save. And on the follow-up, Fabian Ruiz. Another magnificent block. Barcola hammers that in, but the offside flag comes to Spurs' rescue. Bradley Barcola hammered that in from close range. Fair play to PSG for keeping this alive here. Who's offside? Yep, Fabian Ruiz, when that was hit, was offside. Big save there from Vicario, but went straight back to Bradley Barcola, who's done a bit of damage to him. I think his right knee, as soon as he hit that shot. Well, that was heroic defending really from Spurs to try and keep that away. Look at Danso. He threw himself, got hit in the tenders, and then it was Bradley Barcola from close range. Well, I think that would be that in terms of Bradley Barcola's involvement with the season about to begin. Feeling just a bit of that knock on that right knee. His evening comes to an end. It's a double substitution being made by Luis Enrique. Ibrahim Mbaye coming on. So is Kang In Lee for Warren Zaire Emery. And who's the second midfielder? Kvaratskhelia. Yep, Barcola and Emery. Coming off as Luis Enrique. Still keeping Gonzalo Ramos on the bench here. He is their only recognized forward. Here's Ibrahim Mbaye immediately on the right-hand side. Put brilliantly under pressure there from Jed Spence, who continues to have a flawless game at left wing back. Ibrahim Mbaye, seen a little bit of him. He is a direct and tricky winger, like many that PSG have. Has an opportunity to try and impress the boss here. And it speaks a lot about Desiree Doué, doesn't it? Luis Enrique has got experienced players. Kvaratskhelia, Barcola has got a little bit more. But it's the young Desiree Doué that he keeps on the pitch, along with Ousmane Dembele. I mean, Dembele is not going to be pushed around. He's not going to be moved. He's always going to be on the pitch for as long as they need him here. But Desiree Doué getting the coach's confidence. You think that maybe he would be the first one to be subbed. Instead, he keeps his place. Kvaratskhelia and Barcola on the bench. Here's Hakimi on the right-hand side. Ibrahim Mbaye is not making the overlap here. He is offering short. Here's Kang In Lee. Hakimi combining with the Korean. Here's Kang In Lee. Clever pass. The two substitutes combine. Mbaye immediately puts the ball across. Well defended again from Spurs. The box defending from Spurs has been top class. PSG looking to turn it on here. Into the 70th minute. Here's Fabian Ruiz. It's looked threatening since coming on. Again, the ball into the box. Easily dealt with by Damso. Again, now Spurs pinned into their own box here. Here's Vitinha. Trying to go around the outside. Clever pass again. Ruiz lays it off. On the left-hand side is Desiree Doué. Doué with the ball in. Dembele looks to make that run across Mickey van de Ven. Instead, it's straight into the hands of Guglielmo Vicario. Talked about that offside. Yep, it was clearly offside when Barcola did score. Ooh, the two Brazilians in a tussle. Marquinhos does well to protect the ball against Richarlison. Here's Vitinha. What a pass that is. Finds Fabian Ruiz. PSG grabbing hold of the midfield here and now having control of the match. Oh, poor touch there from Dembele. Well, almost finding its way to Desiree Doué. But instead, Nuno Mendes has got the ball here. 20 minutes plus stoppage time remain for PSG here. They need 2 goals here to keep it very simple. One won't be enough. Here's Kang In Lee. Hakimi. PSG turning it on here. You can see the intensity, the crispness in their passing has gone up a notch. Hakimi, clever dummy pass. Here's Fabian Ruiz into the box. Dembele is just wide. Well, that's the first effort really that Ousmane Dembele has had in the second half. And in the box that too. Again, Fabian Ruiz since coming on has been extremely influential. He's picking up those pockets, difficult in those half spaces. On the left, on the right, very comfortable. This time he makes that run unopposed. Pass to Ousmane Dembele. Shot wide, and now Spurs making their double change of their own here. And I gave the big build up to Archie Gray, and that is exactly what Thomas Frank is doing here. Repaying the faith and giving Archie Gray 20 minutes in the Super Cup here, as Archie Gray and Dom Solanke will come on for Richarlison and João Palhinha. Fresh legs here. Like for like changes for Thomas Frank. Solanke will go up front and Archie Gray will take that number 6 position off of João Palhinha. Now, João Palhinha is more of a ball winner, a natural ball winner. Archie Gray is so much better on the ball, and that is not an understatement. So it will give Spurs a lot more control in their midfield now with Archie Gray. So Fabian Ruiz will add PSG's impetus in the midfield, and Archie Gray will definitely make Spurs' midfield better with alongside Bentancur and Pape Sarr. Captain's goal really from Christian Romero. Not the most prettiest goals that you'll see in terms of the quality, but being unopposed in the box, getting a free header, directing that on target with power. That's all you can do, and then hope that the goalkeeper botches it, and that's exactly what happened. Well, heading into the final knockings, PSG, well, they look like they will end their campaign with a heavy defeat, and they will begin their campaign this season. Wouldn't call it a heavy defeat, but when it's up against, put it very mildly, 17th place Tottenham, yes, they have been mitigating circumstances in terms of changes, but not too much has changed. If you look at their lineup here, João Palhinha, Mohamed Kudus, and that's it. And Thomas Frank. That's a big change, isn't it? Here's Ibrahim, plays Kang In Lee. Finds Ibrahim Mbaye. Keeps it short here to Kang In Lee. Again, not looking to open up with the passing. Here's Fabian Ruiz. Vitinha, closed down immediately by Rodrigo Bentancur. Pacho, Marquinhos. Here's Lee. Lee trying to thread it through the eye of the needle. Again, it's Pape Sarr, who's, I think he's also made his case, hasn't he, as one of the man of the matches for Tottenham Hotspur. He has been absolutely everywhere in the middle of the park, helping out deep defensively, pressing from the front, even creating chaos in the opposition box. Pape Sarr can be very proud of the way he's played, and Thomas Frank will know that there is a special player there. Again, it's that spine when they make it strong. It will be a difficult side to beat. Here's Pacho. Finds Nuno Mendes. And Nuno Mendes on the underlap. It's not offering width. It is Desiree Doué who's lost the ball quite easily to Pedro Porro. Pedro Porro thought about taking him on. Brilliant 1-2 here with Solanke. But look at the pace there from Nuno Mendes. Fantastic recovery. Marquinhos finds Fabian Ruiz. Vitinha. Kang In Lee. Ibrahim Mbaye. Oh, where are they trying to thread the pass? Look who it is again. It's Pape Sarr. Just closes the space down brilliantly. Such an impressive player. Yep, you mentioned Mickey van der Ven as one of the candidates. Mohamed Kudus for sure. And I would like to add Pape Sarr to that as well. 3 best players for Spurs. That can change as we head into the final 15 minutes. Can PSG not threatening? Here's Mbaye trying to go around the outside of Spence. And Spence has that right-footed left back. He'll be comfortable going that way. So when he does show, he was happy to show Kvaratskhelia the line as well on multiple occasions. Kvaratskhelia got the better of him maybe once, but really put a troubling ball into the box. Here's Hakimi. Better ball, but again no box presence. Goes all the way to Desiree Doué, who stays on side. Here's Nuno Mendes. Doué. And Desiree Doué cannot get the better of Pedro Porro. Pedro Porro defensively has been top. Absolutely top. He's given nothing away. He's got different challenges with every winger really taking a crack at him. We saw Bradley Barcola take a run at him. Ousmane Dembele tried a bit on the left. Desiree Doué has had more than his fair share of duels. He's come out on top every single time, and PSG now throwing their last hope really in terms of trying to pull a goal back. It's Gonzalo Ramos who comes on for Desiree Doué. Well, the 3 attacking midfielders / wingers for PSG all being withdrawn, and once again drawing blanks in a big game against the London club in the final. Ousmane Dembele remains here. Again, Spurs not just winning the first ball, but how importantly they win the second as well. And that's the physicality that you talk about. Spurs look ready for the start of the next season, but PSG won't come up against the Premier League intensity players in their league, but it isn't an easy league with the likes of Marseille looking to challenge. I know Strasbourg will be looking to make they will raise a few eyebrows in League One next season. I definitely would love to watch Chelsea's sister club Strasbourg go from strength to strength. We see Mike Penders, the Belgian goalkeeper, on loan. Oh, Dembele with a nutmeg, magnificent. Oh, the pass is so bad though. Disappointing end. We talked about the loans that Strasbourg have acquired from Chelsea. Kendry Paez, the 16-year-old Ecuadorian. So excited to see what he's capable of doing in Europe. Pedro Porro again makes the challenge very well. Here's Vitinha. Scoop pass to Dembele. Dembele on his right foot. Jet Spence. Again, he's dealt with everyone that has come his way. Combination of Jet Spence and Pape Sarr keeping everything at bay, and Mickey van de Ven sweeps up. Well, Spurs will feel that they're nearly home and dry here. They've had a perfect performance against an elite club from Europe, and off the bench, this is not a bad option to bring on here. Mohamed Kudus' evening comes to an end. Just shy of 80 minutes, he has been their brightest attacking spot from a distance. Mohamed Kudus applauded and almost dapped up by Thomas Frank as Matthias Tell gets about 11 minutes plus stoppage time to show what he's about. Here's Vitinha. Vitinha, oh, that's a poor shot again. Lack of quality in PSG's final third play really telling, and when Vitinha starts taking shots from distance, you know that it hasn't been your day. But João Neves, a huge miss for PSG, that's for sure. Ousmane Dembele showing the skills that he possesses. That nutmeg on Bentancur was excellent, but the pass subsequently was equally bad. Look at Sarr again, trying to make himself a nuisance. He is throwing his frame around. He's a unit. He's what, 6'1", 6'2"? And he really is using that frame, making himself such a problem for PSG. Here's Nuno Mendes. First time on the overlap that I'm seeing him in the second half here, and it's 80 minutes on the clock. Strange. Here's Vitinha. Marquinhos. All the defenders getting involved. Here's Dembele now, trying to use his twinkle toes. Oh, that's a rash challenge there by Tell. It's right at the edge of the box on Kang In Lee. It's a striker's challenge, really. So reckless, it's very rash. You can see he is new to the game, but my goodness, it's literally a yard outside the box, which is why you don't really mind the challenge. But if PSG are to score from here, it would make it such an awkward final 10 minutes for Tottenham, who have had a comfortable game against Paris Saint-Germain. Well, a lot of the attackers have been withdrawn. Desiree Doué, Bradley Barcola and Kwiatkowski Kvaratskhelia all on the bench. Dembele, not known for his free kick taking abilities, has ceded responsibilities. Hakimi is on it, so is Kang In Lee. I think Hakimi might be favourite here, pulling rank, the Moroccan. It's Lee against the wall. Hakimi looks for the shot. Ooh, what happened here? It's a head injury for Pedro Porro. Might have got the ball cracked into the side of his head. And more importantly for Spurs, it repels the danger here. Let's have a look. It was hit with some force, and you can see why Pedro Porro goes to the ground here. He's got both his hands behind his back. Might have caught him on the shoulder first and then on the head and neck region, but still that's a sore one really to take. It's a nicely struck ball there from Kang In Lee, but once again Vicario not having to make saves. Christian Romero and Ashraf Hakimi having a friendly word here. Pedro Porro will go through the concussion protocol swiftly. Luis Enrique scratching his beard and scratching his temple and wondering how it's all gone wrong here. Lucas Chevalier will have to pick himself up from that costly error, conceding the second goal 3 minutes into the second half, and it really was a schoolboy error in terms of the save being made. He got down well, but with such weak wrists on a not so powerful header. We mentioned before the game happening in Udinese, and some Italian royalty in the stands here, Bonucci and Gennaro Gattuso. Brilliant chance. Oh, they just about get that away. PSG down the left-hand side, taking advantage of Spurs going to nap there. But a 1v1 play, taking advantage of no Pedro Porro on that side. They got the opportunity to put the ball in, and Pedro Porro quickly joins the attack. The defense, rather, and try to plug down that side of the attack. Quick thinking there from PSG, recognizing Pedro wasn't there. And take Archie Gray on the left-hand side. Again, the ball into the box. This time it's Kevin Danso. Comes across. Really is using his presence. Concedes the corner. And I think Luis Enrique, it's almost accepted defeat here. You can see from his body language, he might just let this one go if PSG go on like a 5 or 6 run winning streak to start Ligue 1 campaign here. So this is a disappointing result. Make no mistake about it. PSG went with pretty much their strongest 11. Yes, no João Neves. Fabian Ruiz was curiously on the bench. Other than that, PSG taking this competition and the Super Cup as seriously as they could, and all they've mustered after 84 minutes is one shot on target. Dembele's ball is very well defended by Christian Romero. Here's Lee on his left foot, finds the bottom corner. Kang In Lee arrows it past Vicario, and it's game on. What a strike from Kang In Lee, the substitute. A bit of space opened up on his left foot, right into the corner. And the Parisian fans have a ray of hope. Luis Enrique has barely moved, and Thomas Frank's heartbeat has just gone about 30 beats per minute faster. Good first touch this from Vitinha. Lays it off to Kang In Lee, who strikes it so well. And with 5 minutes plus stoppage time remaining, Tottenham Hotspur now on the back foot for the first time really in the Super Cup. Cracking shot here, and Thomas Frank wasting no time to respond here. He's got Lucas Bergwall stripped and ready to go. He'll want that third goal to try and settle things down. Danso will take the throw in. Again, Dom Solanke is in the box. So is the likes of Mickey van der Ven and Christian Romero. Ball in. Cleared away by Marquinhos. PSG looking for a counter-attack. Pedro Porro with the strike. Oh, there's a chance. Pape Sarr was hoping for a bit of fortune, but flag has been raised here. PSG looking to waste no time here. They'll have to throw everything that they've got. Oh, that's a heavy first touch by Nuno Mendes. Tired touch from the Portuguese fullback. Pedro Porro, on the other hand, has played as perfect of a game that he possibly could against all the tricky wingers of PSG. He's come out on top here. Again, since Richarlison and Mohamed Kudus have come off, ball hasn't really stuck to the Tottenham forwards. Here's Dembele again, deep in his own half. Finds Vitinha. Pacho, Nuno Mendes. Spurs retreating back into their defensive shape here. Okay, not looking to rush it here. Vitinha looks for the scoop ball. Danso defends. That's very poor from Dominic Solanke. Trying to keep hold of the ball off balance. Hooks that back into PSG territory. 3 minutes plus stoppage time remain for Paris Saint-Germain to try and find a goal back, or else It's Tottenham Hotspur as the Super Cup winners 2025. Here's Dembele. Hakimi. Jet Spence defended so well throughout this game. Good pass here. Hakimi now again. Bentancur. Defends well. Again, this is a completely different Tottenham side here. Their defensive, not just the line, but the hunger that they've shown defensively has been very impressive. Jet Spence has been one of the highlights in the Spurs backline. Time running out for PSG here. 2 minutes plus stoppage time remain. PSG getting hope after Kang In Lee found the bottom corner after a fizzer of a drive outside the box on his left foot. Dembele's corner finds Nuno Mendes. Oh, what a block that is. It's Dom Solanke who looks to have gotten his lanky frame in front there. Oh, it is Dom Solanke. Gets a good header to it because Nuno Mendes caught a hold of that. Good defending from Tottenham Hotspur. Time really running out for PSG. Well, both coaches used quite a few substitutes, so we will see time added on here. Mateus still yet to make any sort of impact in an attacking sense. Can't keep hold of the ball. Vitinha finds it on the left-hand side. PSG looking to take it on the outside. Brilliant take there. Oh, he's just lost his balance. It's unfortunate. Well, Christian Romero never really panicked. It did look like he tripped on his own feet. Yellow card for Ousmane Dembele. He's just trying to isolate the fullback here, trying to just push and run as quickly as possible. Ibrahim Mbaye, you can see there he just felt a soft hand there from Kevin Danso, not enough to go to ground. Tottenham Hotspur survive. Lucas Bergwall will get 30 seconds plus stoppage time to close the game out here. Tottenham nearly home and dry. Pape Sarr's evening comes to an end, and that will be to a standing ovation. What a performance from the Senegalese. Superb. As I mentioned before, one of the top 3 players for Spurs this evening. Put Mickey van der Ven, Mohamed Kudus, and then Pape Sarr. In any order if you feel like it. Maybe it will go to Mickey van der Ven. But they didn't keep the clean sheet, so as it stands, it is Christian Romero who's the difference maker. Well, 5 minutes of stoppage time has been signaled by the 4th official here. That's enough time for PSG to fashion at least one good chance. With the goal that, well, it's not 5 minutes, it's 6 minutes of stoppage time. As I mentioned before, the goal that came wasn't something that was created. It was a clever reverse pass from Vitinha. It was just a 2-yard pass, but it was a clever one which gave Kang In Lee time and space to find the bottom corner. Archie Gray with the clearance. Mateus Tel helping out. You can see João Palhinha almost acting like assistant coach here. Pedro Porro clears. Spurs 5 minutes away. It'll be huge celebrations really for Tottenham Hotspur. Well, now suddenly they'll be used to silverware. Picking up the Europa League in May. And now about 4.5 minutes away from being crowned Super Cup champions for the first time in their history. Kang In Lee has looked very good, but he's kept the ball somehow. João Palhinha still acting like assistant coach. He's trying to be curtailed by the 4th official here. Here's Vitinha. Finds Dembele. Kang In Lee, who's been all action since coming on. Doesn't get to start too many games for PSG, so whenever he does come on, he looks to make that immediate impact. Here's Mendes. Ibrahim Mbaye. Nuno Mendes again. PSG not looking to force it, but running out of time with every attack coming to an end very quickly there on that occasion. Here's Marquinhos. Vitinha. looking to take advantage and take ownership. Bentancur again. He has played a tireless game. The Uruguayan international, Rodrigo Bentancur, has really poured his heart out in this performance. Having to cover a lot of space, do a lot of defensive work. And when he was on the ball, showed his class. Here's Marquinhos. Lee on the right-hand side, on his left foot. Cleared away by Bentancur again. That was a tired clearance, but Bentancur still gets enough distance. Here's Hakimi. Here's Kang In Lee looking to switch the play. Lovely pass to Ibrahim Mbaye. Might thought about going on the outside, instead stays inside. Here's Marquinhos. Hakimi. Dembele flashes it across and PSG have the equalizer. It's Gonzalo Ramos. Right at the end, PSG have the equalizer. It's Ousmane Dembele with a fizzed cross across goal. And Gonzalo Ramos, like a typical poacher's finish, a true number 9 from unmissable range, heads home, and Tottenham hearts have been broken right at the end as PSG claw back from a 2-goal deficit. This is brilliant. Dembele is onside. How about this for a ball? On his right foot, he has whipped that with pace. No chance that Gonzalo Ramos was missing from there. If he gets any sort of contact on his head, it's a strong enough connection. No chance for Vicario. Tottenham hearts on the floor. PSG now have the impetus. Celebrated by Lucas Chevalier in goal. He would have had his heart in his mouth knowing that it was his mistake that gave Tottenham Hotspur the commanding position. Well, the European champions showing true grit. Great heart shown here. And now a long switch out. Tottenham will be feeling like they're on the floor here. Danso doesn't commit the foul. Well done there from the centre half. Can Spurs launch another attack here? Matthias Tell, good bit of control. He's got the overlap of Jed Spence. Spurs looking to fashion one more chance before the full-time whistle. Jed Spence can't find the pass. Matthias Tell loses out. Marquinhos keeps the ball. Well, Spurs now really look tired. PSG have a minute and the attacking momentum on their side here. Here's Ibrahim Mbaye. Good ball in. Ramos finds Kang In Lee, who has changed the game. Hakimi looks to whip the ball in. Well, Tottenham Hotspur were 2-0 up, cruising, heading into the final 10 minutes. Kang In Lee's goal completely changed the complexion. And Gonzalo Ramos' equalizer in the 93rd minute keeps us at 2-2. The Super Cup will most likely go the distance. Oh, what a ball! That is from Dembele. Well, Danso had to follow the run. Otherwise, you are looking at one of the passes of the match from Ousmane Dembele. Clips that perfectly. Brilliant defending from Danso. Well, Spurs players are absolutely shattered here. Christian Romero now feeling the effects, the cramps. 6 minutes have passed. Thomas Frank cannot believe it. He would have been practicing that, or visualizing, or even imagining that trophy lift after full time. Instead, this game will go the distance and Spurs can potentially lose it from here. Incredible action here in the Super Cup. Ousmane Dembele with the most clutch assists that you will see. And the referee blows the full-time whistle as Tottenham Hotspur were within minutes from picking up their first UEFA Super Cup. But it is Gonzalo Ramos off the bench from close range, heads home after a brilliant ball in from Ousmane Dembele. Kang In Lee scored in the 85th minute after Tottenham Hotspur in the 48th minute had a 2-0 advantage, truly in dreamland. Instead, this game goes the distance. We talked about Gianluigi Donnarumma's shot-stopping abilities. His penalty-saving attributes are even better. And that's something that Lucas Chevalier will have to try and fill in terms of ability. Easier said than done because of the giant that is Donnarumma. But this is Kang In Lee's left-footed effort. It is so precise. It's right in the corner. Vicario at full stretch can't get there. Really was the catalyst. And it's the two substitutes that come off the bench and make the impact here in Udinese. That is why the managers get paid the big bucks to make the changes. You saw Ousmane Dembele a lot more on the right-hand side. We didn't see that at all, I think, in the first 80 minutes that we saw. Well, 2-2 the scoreline heading into extra time, and maybe would say unnecessary 30 minutes, but this is exactly what you have in terms of drama. PSG have made their changes. I will go through every change that both teams have made before the 90 minutes. Luis Enrique bringing on Fabian Ruiz, Ibrahim Mbaye, Kang In Lee and Gonzalo Ramos. Lee and Ramos both scoring. And as for Tottenham Hotspur and Thomas Frank, Archie Gray, Dominic Solanke, Matthias Tell and Lucas Bergwall all on the pitch for fresh legs here. Oh, it's penalty shootouts directly. That is exciting. That is very exciting. I thought it's extra time. Phew! I'm so happy. It's penalties. Well, common sense from UEFA, and we will have penalty shootouts to decide the winner of the UEFA Super Cup. Now it's a lot more exciting. I was thinking another 30 minutes. Spurs players were on their feet, dead. Instead, now we've got penalty shootout. This is very exciting. This is very, very exciting. Lucas Chevalier, who was the villain for PSG after conceding that second goal, can be the hero. Gianluigi Donnarumma's penalty saving techniques are world renowned. Lucas Chevalier, not so much, but he has an opportunity to write his name in PSG history books, and so does Guglielmo Vicario. Be very interesting to see the 5 penalty takers for both players, both sets of players really. I know that Dembele will be one, Hakimi will be one, might see Vitinha for PSG take one too. Nuno Mendes, I expect him to take. Who else is the 5th? Maybe Gonzalo Ramos. There's your 5. As for Spurs, you might see Dom Solanke, Matthias Tell. Yeah, probably one of the centre-backs will take it. But regardless, it's Dom Solanke who will start the penalty shootout against Lucas Chevalier. Big moment to start the penalty shootout here. Spurs would have won it before normal time. Instead, they need penalties. Here's Dom Solanke. Good penalty. Lucas dives the right way, side foots that onto his right hand side. No chance there for the goalkeeper. Spurs 1-0 up in the penalty shootout. Well, Dom Solanke, like every good number 9, making sure that he gets the job done in terms of starting things here. Vitinha for PSG now. Vitinha up against Vicario. Vicario is a giant of a keeper. Does fill the goal up here, but Vitinha will look for the technique. Does he use the Jorginho technique? We'll wait and see. Keeps his eye. Look at this. Very strange, but so composed. Oh, such a poor penalty. Vitinha misses. I remember he missed that penalty against Arsenal. Same technique. He has to find a better technique here, Vitinha. See, Vicario hasn't moved till the very end. Thomas Frank celebrates. He dives the wrong way, but Vitinha's penalty is off target. Bradley Barcola knows that could be a costly error. Luis Enrique getting a bit of a lifeline courtesy of the 2 late goals from his substitutes. Now needs penalty shootout here. Rodrigo Bentancur, the experienced Uruguayan international, up against Lucas Chevalier. Here's Bentancur. What a pen. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant from Bentancur. No chance. Well, Chevalier's dived right on both occasions, but both penalties have been perfect. He goes the other way. Still the same result here. Solanke scores. Bentancur scores. Vitinha misses. And now PSG have to score here. PSG have to score. And it's their number 9 who has taken this game into penalties. Will have to take a pen on his own. Here's Gonzalo Ramos. Here's Ramos. Thunderous penalty. Goes straight down the middle. No chance there for Vicario. A growl of appreciation there from Gonzalo Ramos. PSG registered their first pen here. Ramos, like every good striker, hits that true. Goes straight down the middle, knowing that the goalkeeper might look to guess either one of these ways. And now Spurs will look to reopen a 2-goal advantage. PSG still waiting for their keeper to have his big moment. It's Mickey van der Ven, who scored the opening goal in the Super Cup to take Spurs' third. Van der Ven saved! Lucas Chevalier comes up trumps. Big save there from the Frenchman. And PSG have an opportunity once again to go level. This time on the penalty shootout. Well, Lucas Chevalier has dived the right way in all 3 penalties. The first 2 were hit with tremendous precision. Van der Ven doesn't go for height. So if Chevalier guesses the right way, he has a better opportunity to save it. And PSG recognizing that if they score here, they level. So they send their trump card. Their main man, Ousmane Dembele. You don't even know which foot he's going to take it with. He's taking it with his right. He's taking it with his left. Looks like Dembele on his right. Ousmane Dembele makes no mistake. Slots it into the bottom corner. And we are level in the penalty shootout. Top stuff there from Ousmane Dembele. That right foot of his really doing damage towards the end of the game. Responsible for the assist. And now a true penalty into the bottom corner. Vicario dives the wrong way. And we're level now. Well, this would be a remarkable win for PSG if they are to win from this position. Down 2-0, 85th minute. Find themselves 2-2, trailing early in the penalty shootout. Level again now. This is pretty much sudden death, isn't it? Matthias Tell up against Lucas Chevalier. Tell the Frenchman. After Van der Ven missed. Matthias Tell, stutter run up. Oh, he's gone wide. Tottenham missed 2 penalties in a row. PSG are on the cusp. Lucas Chevalier doesn't have to make the save. This is another terrible penalty from Matthias Tell. He's given it the start-stop, sends the keeper the wrong way, but his penalty is well wide. Luis Enrique knows that his team have been handed one more lifeline. Spurs throwing it away, really. How this game has flipped on its head. And speaking of the game being flipped on its head, it's because of this man, Kang In Lee. His goal in the 85th minute on that left foot gave PSG hope, and now has an opportunity to give PSG the lead in the penalty shootout. It's Kang In Lee, sends the keeper the wrong way. A short penalty from Kang In Lee. And now Tottenham Hotspur have to score. What an impact from the bench. Kang In Lee, a performance called true clutchness. Spurs simply have to score here. And they're going to one of their experienced players, a player who barely put a foot wrong in the entire 90 minutes. It's Pedro Porro up against Lucas Chevalier. Ousmane Dembele trying to assist his goalkeeper in terms of which side to go. It's Porro against Lucas Chevalier. Porro has to score for Spurs to stay in this. Pedro Porro, good penalty. Right into the top corner. Pedro Porro does his job. And now Vicario has to save this penalty to send this into sudden death. But if PSG are to score, they will be the UEFA SUPERCUP winners 2025. I'll have predicted all the penalty takers from PSG's point of view, I think. Gonzalo Ramos, and yep, Nuno Mendes to take the 5th. Nuno Mendes' penalty technique is impeccable, but he has to be spot on here. Mendes up against Vicario. It's Nuno Mendes, and he buries it. And Paris Saint-Germain are UEFA SuperCup champions. They do it the hard way, being 2-0 down up until the 85th minute after both Tottenham centre-halves gave Spurs a 2-0 lead. In the 85th minute was Kang In Lee scoring from distance, and Gonzalo Ramos in the 93rd minute from close range headed home after Ousmane Dembele's pinpoint cross. And in the penalty shootout, after Vitinha missed the first, Spurs had to keep their nerves, but 2 critical misses, one from Mickey van der Ven and one from Matthias Tell, made sure that PSG was spotless in the 4 pens since then, and they take the Super Cups on pens. Heartbreak for Spurs after winning the Europa League, very, very close to adding more silverware to their trophy cabinet. Instead, it's Paris Saint-Germain. Congratulations to Paris Saint-Germain, 2-2 full time, and they win it on penalties. They will celebrate as Spurs will have to take their licks. Unbelievable game here in the Super Cup. I've enjoyed every bit of it. Luis Enrique is enjoying the celebrations. They will party all night long as the season begins for both these teams in 3 to 4 days. Fantastic action.